Welcome everyone's to the weekly reading of the Daily Meditations with Native American Elders on the White Eagle Talking Circle channel. My name is Josiah and I'm an addict, and we'll just go around the horn and introduce ourselves. Go ahead, guys.
What's up? I'm JC. I'm an addict.
I'm Randy. I'm an addict, alcoholic.
And I'm Feline. I'm a grateful alcoholic.
I'm Pete. I'm an alcoholic. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. And before we jump into the reading, I'm gonna call on Feline to offer up a prayer. So Feline, you can lead us in prayer.
Okay. Thank you for calling on me for a prayer this morning. I just want to have everybody pray with me as we ask the Creator to come and be with us today, and as we always look for the Creator for guidance and on the red road. We ask the Creator today. We are humbly here before you in a pitiful way, as we ask you to come and continue to be in our lives. We ask you to continue to guide us. We ask you to continue to be with our families, our loved ones, our people, and for ourselves and our walk and our sobriety, our wellbriety. We ask you to go and be with those that are still struggling in their addiction and their alcoholism. We ask you to go and be with those that are on the streets, that are to keep them warm and maybe guide them to the light. We ask you to continue to guide us as we do the work we do in the community, at home, in our personal lives. We ask you to go and be with our tribes, our tribal people back home. As we continue to look for leadership, we ask you to continue to bless us. I hope.
Who? Well, I'm going to jump right into the reading here for the Fall Meditations of Native American Elders, November 8th here. See how the boy is with his sister and others and the other ones of his home lodge, and you can know how the man will be with your daughter. Lakota proverb. Very early in our lives, we form beliefs, attitudes, expectations, and habits. We will live by these habits when we are older. The elders say to watch the boy with his sister. If he is respectful and treats her good, then the odds are that's the way he will treat all women when he is older. Also watch the younger girl, how she treats her brother, for that will indicate what kind of woman she will be to her man. We need to teach our children to respect one another while they are young. The best way to teach them is to show respect for ourselves. Great Spirit, teach me to walk in prayer, help keep my faith strong. Who? And I know for me, man, that took me back. Um, when I was younger as a child, I was very anger is my biggest issue. It's my biggest downfall is if I get angry. So when I was younger, I used to I used to beat up my little friends and my little buddies and stuff, just to get mad. And my little or my cousin, she's the same age as me. I get mad and you know either I wouldn't hit her, but I remember I would like kick her, um, because I would just be so angry all the time when I was a kid. And then, but I remember my Kala, she would sit me down, and of course, she scolded me, but she told me that I had to, I had to take care of her. I had to respect her. I had to, I had to treat her good. I had to look out for her. And as a young kid, I understood that at that time. And that was. I remember I was like probably like Head Start, kindergarten age when I did that. And from that moment on, I started, I started respecting her and I started appreciating her. And it didn't mean that we didn't get into arguments and stuff because we're always around each other, and we did fight, we did argue and stuff, but I never touched her again. um I never, um I just took on that respect after she taught me that, because that's up to that point I wasn't taught that. So also she told me that, you know, you gotta take care of her, you gotta respect her, and you gotta look out for her, because when you guys grow up, she'll be there for you. Um, she'll be the one that's, you know, you can call on her, and she'll come and she'll help you, whatever the circumstance is. If you know you're having a feed or you're having gathering, you ask her to come help you, she will. And there's some other things that she said, you know, along those lines, and then it all made sense and it just clicked for me. And I was just reminded of that teaching that my colleague gave me. And you know, and it just brings to light that, you know, it kind of has that connotation, like, there's a lot of men out there that, you know, are not respectful towards women, and vice versa. You know, a lot of women out there that aren't respectful towards men, or even just respectful to anybody. And I know I was in my addiction, I was very disrespectful towards everyone around me because I didn't respect myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't respect myself. But when I got to the red road, I was able to start respecting myself and start loving myself, knowing that Akbarati had forgiven me. And the more um, the more days I'm able to get under my belt on the red road, the more respect I have for myself, and then in turn, I'm able to respect those around me. See people as people, and I think, and that's like a very simple thing to say or to think about, that you know, other people, they're other human beings. But it took me a while walking the red road. It's like, oh, there's just people around me that they have their own struggles, they have their own, you know, things that they're dealing with, just like I am, and I don't know what they're going through. So I'm gonna be polite and be courteous and be, you know, I'm not gonna be all somehow just because some person is dressed a certain way or looks a certain way, or you know, they have a different shade of skin than myself. So um, that respect is so powerful. And for me, it started with it. I had to respect myself first, and that was my biggest takeaway from today's reading. And with that, I'll pass. Do I have a volunteer, or should I call on somebody? No, I was kidding. I'll just open it up. Whoever wants to go.
Cool. So today's reading kind of takes me back to running a youth camp. I did 2 youth camps, one like 3 years ago, up here in Crow Country, and then the first one I did was when I was in college. Through the University of Great Falls, we did a youth camp in conjunction with the Blackfeet tribe. We took some kids out there to Glacier up in that area and did a youth camp up there. And a lot of the kids that I was working with, but in both areas, I noticed that, you know, some of the kids that were being disrespectful and they didn't have direction, you know, that were kind of acting out and whatnot, were kids that were coming from broken homes. You know, weren't taught, you know, the respect that should have been taught by either their mom or their dad. So when they're growing up, you know, they act out and they, you know, curse around and show disrespect. And I noticed that too today, you know, growing up with my nephews and nieces, you know, they growing up in broken homes the same way, and you know, they're not taught that respect. So that reading at the end, you know, we need to teach our children to respect one another while they are young, you know, and we're role models, you know, we've gone through that struggle, you know, growing up, you know, we see what it's like, you know, and we need to continue to teach our culture, who we are, where we come from, you know, and our culture is, you know, we're not disrespectful, you know, we're not somebody that treats each other in a bad way. You know, we always open our doors and help each other out and love one another. And, you know, it just, I know that because growing up, I grew up with a lot of friends that didn't have, you know, a mom or dad growing up. So I was growing up with a lot of my friends and my cousins that didn't have their dads around. And yeah, they started drinking, using, treating each other bad at a very young age. And you know, I teach my boys and my other nephews and nieces, you know, no matter how young they are, they're still role models to their younger brothers and sisters, to their younger cousins, you know. So they gotta always act right and be respectful of one another, because there's always somebody watching you, you know, whether it's your peers or your siblings, your younger siblings that are looking up to you. You know, you gotta always gotta act the right way, you know. So yeah, reading kind of the same thing. It took me back to, you know, all right, yeah, I remember that, you know. So, you know, we treat each other with respect, and we want to be role models. We want to help our younger, you know, generation. Yeah, that's all I got. I hope.
Ho. Randy, you want to go?
Yes, sir. kind of takes me back to just the same as you guys coming up. My grandma and my grandpa kind of instilled that in us, and how to treat your sisters, how to treat your women folks, why you treat them that way. You know what I mean? Like, um, and then coming up, I was kind of like Josiah, like kind of lost I guess for me, man, I kind of lost my way there for a while, and really didn't listen to nobody, really rebelled as much as I could. But really, when you look back on it, it was because I didn't love myself. And we can only give out what we have for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, um, and I feel like even now, um, 5+ years in my sobriety, there's relationships that are mending. There's, you know what I mean? Like there's healing, and realizing like, okay, like this. And then I'm also like a single father to my daughter, and the things that I try to value in her, like the things that I try to instill in her, certain values, and even as simple as like going out there and opening her door, showing her how a man's supposed to treat her. Because I feel like this generation, we don't really realize the value of a woman, what they bring to the house, like what they bring, you know what I mean? And a lot of it is because we haven't taught our young ladies or our young men how to treat each other. I know my generation's kind of gotten away from that. Um, Now we got like crazy songs on the internet and things, you know, celebrating certain things and how we should be, and then we see this generation just really eating and drinking it up, and it's like, man, it's kind of heartbreaking. But then I realized, like, man, I was a part of that. Like I was a part of that, and but it like hits me right in the face every day that I wake up, because I got my daughter looking at me. Gotta mind my P's and Q's. Gotta really watch how I treat my sisters, and you know what I mean. Like not to be so quick with my tongue and cut down, and you know stuff like that, but to instead speak life and encourage instead of discourage, build up instead of cut down, things like that. And I'm grateful because the foundation that my grandparents and my mom and my dad laid is it's still there today, you know, nearing 40 years old, and you know what I mean, like stuff like that. And you're like, man, like I remember like my grandma would tell me, it was like it was repetitive, and she'd be like, man, she would say this in Crow, but she would say, one day when I'm gone, you're gonna say, man, I wish she was here to tell me again. And um and I think about that, and I'm like, man, that would be awesome, because I would love to sit with her, and hear her correct me. You know what I mean? Like, wish my daughter got a chance to meet her, but yeah, that's kind of like what I got out of the reading. So,
Ho. Pauline, would you like to go?
Sure. Thank you. My name's Feline, and I'm an alcoholic. And I read that earlier, and I was thinking, gosh, this one's gonna be a tough one. You know, it's gonna be a really tough one to reflect on. And but the Red Road to Wellbriety is a guide. You know, it has really helped me really see myself and my thinking and my behaviors. And I own everything today. Like, I'm not the best. I wasn't the best sister. I wasn't the best, you know, partner. I wasn't the best daughter. I wasn't the best mother. I wasn't, I didn't have, you know, like this natural creator. This is how you're going to be. This is the role you're going to take. And this is how you're going to fulfill that role. I didn't have that, but I did have some pretty good role models growing up, and I had to really find myself, and I made a lot of mistakes. I was selfish, self-centered, um, egotistical. I was, you know, I felt like everyone owed me, um, entitled, very, very entitled. And I had to go through life like that. And things didn't work out for me, you know, relationships, um, in my addiction, my alcoholism. Um, I ran into a lot of walls in life, and I never really grew up. I was like 32 years old, 31 years old. My mom passed away, and I fell flat on my face. Like, I didn't know what to do in this life because my mom always had my back. My mom and dad always took care of it, you know, and it was mainly my mom. And so I never really had the opportunity to, I didn't give myself that opportunity because I always took for granted that mom was always going to be there. She was always going to take care of it. And she did try to show me things, you know, in hindsight. I look back at it and thinking, geez, mom tried to tell me. She did try to show me, but I took for granted every time that she was going to be there, you know. And I know my mom, one time I asked her, like, so why did you spoil your kids? Like, why are they so spoiled and entitled? And she said, because I went through a really hard time, like growing up. She was the boarding school era, you know, and she said, and I didn't want you guys to suffer the way I did. I didn't want you guys to have a hard time like I did. She said, and she didn't mean to. My mom didn't mean to. And so, so today as adults, I think we have to take a look at ourselves and say, you know, I may have not gone through all the phases of life that in the Red Road to Wellbriety, they talk about the 8 feelings, the things that we go through. We have to go through these phases of life, trust as a little baby. And we may not have gotten through those phases, but as adults today, we can say, hey, you know, I got to really take a look at myself. What do I need to work on? And just, and it's a lifelong journey. You know, I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes. I still blow up. I still, you know, and I'm not the best person sometimes. And sometimes you don't want to be around me, but in this program, I can say I'm sorry. In this program, I can take a look at my faults and say, hey, I can work on that, you know. So one thing that I've learned is that respect's a two-way street. You know, you respect me, I respect you. And I may not get that sometimes from my siblings. I may not get that from my friends, my coworkers, or whomever, my partner, my children, my grandkids. I may not get that sometimes. So I have to rise above it. Like, I have to take the high road and um, say, you know, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I treated you that way, or I'm sorry I said that. But this program's taught me how to say that. You know, this program's taught me how to try to humble myself and just keep moving. Um, and so today I have to take the high road when it comes to my brother. I have 3 brothers, and so biological blood brothers, but the Creator has blessed me with some brothers on the red road that I would not trade anything for. And so I just want to thank you guys for being here today. I hope.
Ho, JC, you got the mic.
Right. Yeah. There's one bad thing about, I guess, going last, and that's, I had a game plan, but then I listened to all of you guys, and then all of a sudden, boom, my mind just starts shooting in all these different directions. So I'll try to hold it together best I can. But yeah, like a lot of you said, when growing up, I was taught by my mom and my aunties, my grandmothers who outraised me, my sisters, about respecting women, and respecting each other too, respecting all people, and that's how I grew up, and it was instilled in me. But eventually, I lost my way, as I think as Randy's the one that, that's a good way to put it. I lost my way, or it's not that I forgot about those things. I didn't forget about those lessons that I learned. But when I went out, I started to have disrespect for women. I started objectifying, and I started, slowly but surely becoming abusive. I started becoming, just all the exact things that I was taught by the female, my female caretakers. And the thing is that when it says you look how it look try to see how a man will treat his sister, and then you'll see how he treats other women. But for me, that wasn't the same. It wasn't the same thing, because I compartmentalized those two. I would treat the women in my family with respect, but when I go out, then I didn't treat the other women with respect. So my way of thinking was, my sister is precious, but your sister isn't. You know what I mean? And I got that from my peers. I got that from, all these other subconscious kind of influences that I was around on a daily basis, and that I saw everywhere. That, men were supposed to be dominant. Women were things to be owned or possessed, I guess. And I got that from, other places. So I kind of, and I know I'm not the only one. I see it all the time. I've seen, other people, my peers, say it's basically what I said. It's like, you can't do that to my sister, but then at the same time, like I did, went out and disrespected other women in their lives. And for me, that it doesn't work like that. It does not work that way. You can't say one thing and do one thing over here, and then say another and do another thing over here. And the way I thought of it was like, if you take a crystal clear glass of water, you put one drop of black dye in it, it's going to infect the whole thing. You can't keep it separate. So, and then too, like Feline brought up a really good point too, is like, I have to own that. I have to be, I can only be responsible for me. I can only clean my side of the street. And I don't like the things that I did. I'm really remorseful about it to this day. And a lot of times we can't make direct amends, but one thing I can do while I'm walking this red road is to not only, I guess one way to make amends is so I can change myself, I can change my beliefs, I can change my thoughts. Therefore, my feelings and my actions will change. So in order to do that, I have to be honest about what I did, how I used to be. I didn't start out that way. Somewhere along the line, I developed these negative beliefs, these false beliefs, and these false ideas, and these, negative attitudes. But I don't have to stay that way. I don't have to be that person, because that's not who I was created to be. That's not who we were created to be. And so in my effort to not, if I can't make direct amends, the best thing I can do is change and go forward and work to, try to provide a better example, be a better role model for those who are watching me, because they're still watching me. Those young ones are still watching us, and they're seeing what we're doing. And we kind of touched on this before too, is the caveat to that. There's a catch to that too, is that, we call it a crab pot mentality. A new one that I heard was the tall poppy syndrome, where others will who are still living in low self-esteem, low self-worth. They're afraid. They don't want, you know, they're still in these negative ideas. They kind of they'll try to cut you down. They try to say whatever. Well, I remember JC when he was doing this and he did that. And, you know, 10 years ago he did this, and 15 years ago he did that. And, you know, and I can't do anything about that. That's not on my side of the street anymore. I faced those. I've dealt with it. And like I said, Feline said, you know, you got to own it. I owned it. I own it today. I don't like it. Like I said, I don't like it, and it hurts sometimes when I think about it. You know, I let it get to me. I think about the things that I used to do and the way that I used to be, and how selfish and just terrible things. You know, it hurts, but at the same time, when I do that, I give it less power, and then I can move forward. And for me, you know, respect for others. You know, it says right there we have to respect ourselves. And I didn't. Obviously, that's not what I was doing. If I was out, you know, ingesting poison each and every day, not taking care of myself physically, hygiene, not eating right, all this other stuff. And now that I am doing that, then that's where it stands. It comes. The source is obviously a Badadia, my higher power, but it goes through me and then it goes out. And what am I pushing out? What am I giving out? And, you know, like dominance, physical strength, dominance, you know, being domineering over somebody, that's not true strength. And what I've learned is that, you know, love, respect, empathy, forgiveness, and sometimes, you know, turning the other cheek, those are true signs of strength, because it's not easy to do that. It's easier for me to fire right back when somebody says something, but it's hard for me to say, okay, sorry you feel that way. That's not on me anymore. You know, I'm the only way those things can ever gain any traction or have any power is if I receive it and I accept it. So, I refuse to do that. I refuse to receive those things and accept those things into my life, because I'm kicking them out. I'm trying to change myself for the better, make myself a better person each and every day. And, you know, like a lot of you have said too, I'm not perfect. I'm never gonna be perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect. What I can do is do my very absolute best to try to make my family, my community, my tribe, our people a little bit better each day by the things that I do and the things that I change, and changing my ways and doing all that, and having respect for other people. And sometimes that respect, like I always say, it just means keeping my mouth shut. And we all know that for me, that's pretty hard to do. So I think my 5 minutes are probably up. Thank all of you guys for showing up. Lee and Pete, thank you guys. It's good to see you here this morning, or this afternoon, I guess it would be. And yeah, we appreciate all the support that you guys are giving us who are watching, and that's all I got. I hope.
Oh, appreciate it. No, yeah, I think with that reading was respecting ourselves. I know for me, it didn't. I had to forgive myself. That's where it started, and knowing that my higher power, by the dish, like forgave me. That was so powerful for me in the beginning. I was like, my higher power already forgave me. So why don't I just start forgiving myself? And for me, forgiveness has been a process. In these 5 years and some change and recovery, I'm still forgiving myself. And when I think about those old things when I start living in the past, I'm like, oh, you know what? My higher power forgave me. I've already forgiven myself. I am forgiving myself. I'm in a process of forgiving myself. And that shame and guilt, that sting isn't so much. So yeah, a lot of good things. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but you need to be better. Um I just wanted to bring that up. And it was good. I appreciate you guys joining me today, providing your reflections. I always get a lot out of these. And I just appreciate you guys. And right now, just if anybody has any closing words before we close up, I'll just leave it open right now for a few. Anybody else got anything else they'd like to add? Good? We're good? All right, cool. So with that, man, we'll close with the silent proclamation. You guys all unmute yourself. I'll wait till everybody's unmuted here. All right. To walk the red road is to offer up a silent proclamation.
Here the destruction stops. We will heal ourselves.
What was that? Is it me?
Yeah, it's you.
What did I say? We will heal.
Wounded relation.
Yes, we will heal our wounded relationships. I'm sorry, guys.
We will heal our children.
We will heal our nation.
On this day, our future history begins. Ho!